So, aren't you guys normally targeted, though? The great pass rushers? It's like, hey, we're going to go right at this guy because normally they're a little weaker. Is that something you talk about at the pass rush summit? Like, hey, boys, we're being targeted on run plays because they think we're soft. Is that something that is a mischaracterization, you think, of pass rushers, or is that normally accurate?
I'm sure some pass rushers get targeted, but I just, I don't feel like I get it. I feel like they.
No, you do not. No, fine. That's what I'm talking about, though.
Run the ball directly. I would like that. It's easier. They run the ball at you. You don't have to run the ball down and run 30 yards the other way just to almost get in on a tackle. So it's easier just to have every single play come at you. But it's not something that we talk about in the past or something. I talk about run techniques. I talk about what I'm thinking in the run game. Because you got to play first and second to get the third down. And, usually run the ball on first and second. So, being a great run stopper is always you gotta earn the right to rush, and that's playing great run defense on first and second down.
That's a great way to frame it. You got to earn the right to rush.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. Go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, Vaughn, have you reached out to Chris Jones and kind of tell him, hey, you can't be tackling quarterbacks so egregiously and getting rough in the passer calls? And have you guys been working on kind of gently setting down the quarterback so you can avoid that 15-yard penalty?
No, I think that play that Chris Jones had was a tough one, and if I'm not mistaken, that was the first time in the history of our league that has happened. The guy knocks the ball out. I'm possessing the ball. I fall on top of the quarterback, and I get a roughing the passer call, and then the other team gets the ball back. I think that's the very first time in our league that has happened. I think that's an anomaly. I think the play on Tom Brady and Grady Jarrett, that was another tough one too, because they tell you not to fall on the guy. So he basically grabbed the guy by the waist and threw him on the ground. I think, if that ref could have, hindsight is always 20/20. I think if the ref, had that call back, I think he would judge that one differently. But, our league does a great job, especially with player safety and our competition committee, of really ironing these things out.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't think being able to review these calls make anything better. If you remember back in the playoffs where the Rams had that controversial pass interference call on the Saints and they never called it, and then the Rams end up going to the Super Bowl and they put in all pass interferences are reviewed. That year they only overturned, out of all the pass interference calls, they only overturned about 2 or 3 of them. So I think it'd be a slippery slope for us to just say, okay, every single roughing the passer call should be reviewed. I think it's a slippery slope. I think we should just continue to play the season out and see where it goes. But the guys that make this game great, they always do a good job of ironing these things out. What I do to combat that is I'm always going for the ball. If I get a free shot at the quarterback, I'm always going for the ball. I feel like the ball is the most important thing when it comes to my game, when it comes to the football game. Mm-hmm. I want to get the ball out. I want to get a sack, forced fumble recovery, and I want to run it back for a touchdown. And that's just my mentality whenever I'm coming around. I'm not in there to knock anybody out or do anything like that. I mean, I feel like when I go for the ball, it just takes me into the tackle. I'm always swiping at the ball, and if I can't get it, then I just fall on the guy. And Chris Jones could probably argue that because he definitely
don't fall on the guy.
Vaughn, he definitely went for the ball. He just fell on him. But it's just it's something that we worked out. I think we just got to continue to play this season out, and then off season we'll take a look at it.
Vaughn, this is the one that started it all, though. This Grady Jarrett, they ran a 4-man game. Okay, incredible work by this crew. And if you see, this Kazi literally could have won anyway. What could he have done different? You think? That's, Vaughn. I think that happens. Then the Chris Jones one happens. That's on Tom Brady, so that's going to be seen by everybody. Then the other one's on primetime television. That's going to be seen by everybody. Then the same ref that did the Tom Brady, Grady Jarrett one did one in the Bills game, your game with the Ravens when Josh Allen got one. So it's like it's been a lot of high-profile, high situations where it's taking place. You think it's a little bit of an overreaction? This doesn't happen as much as it did maybe a couple years ago?
No, it's definitely not. It's definitely not an overreaction. But it just be something that everybody has to take a look at in the offseason. That Grady Jarrett play, there's nothing that he could have done. And Tom Brady, I think I saw a stat that Tom Brady gets he rarely gets roughing the passer calls. Like,
yeah,
I can't don't quote me on that, but I think it was a stat that says Tom Brady rarely gets roughing the passer calls. So that was just one of those ones where he just influenced the ref a little bit too much. And if that ref had that call back, I think he would have judged it a little bit differently.
He's not saying that publicly.